Okay, today our topic for this presentation is politeness strategy, and we can say there are totally 5 people in our group. We'll have different parts of this presentation. For me, my name is Wang Tianyi, and the first one, I will handle the introduction part. Okay, before we actually talk about it, I want to here is a brief introduction of this presentation. The first part is introduction, and it's handled by me. And the second part is the theory of politeness, and you will see the politeness principle, and a brief introduction of positive politeness and negative politeness, and the strategies that involved. Okay, for the third part is positive politeness and examples, and the first part is negative politeness and examples. Okay, the last part is the conclusions. Okay, here is the politeness. First, we would like to talk about where it is from. Okay, in 1955, government introduced his theory of face and face walk. Actually, the concept of face was derived from Chinese into English. His name is Wu Xianjing. He came up the idea of face in 1944. Okay, this theory builds on the sociological concept of face, as in save face or lose face, to discuss politeness as a response to mitigate or avoid face-threatening acts such as requests or insults. Okay, we can talk about what is a face-threatening act. It is an act that inherently damages the face of the speaker by acting in the opposition to the wants or desires to the other. Face-threatening acts can be verbal or non-verbal based on the terms of conversation. In social interactions, face-threatening are at times inevitable. Then we can see the development of politeness theory, how it is officially introduced into the linguistic academic discussion. Before we talk about government, and here are 2 very important persons. The name are Brown and Levinson. In 1987, they brought up the idea politeness was a universal concept. So there are 2 main parts. First part is politeness is the expression of the speaker's intention to mitigate the face-threat act carried by certain face-threatening acts towards to the listener. Defining it is a little bit familiar because this part of theory was based on government theory. Okay, the second part is there's another definition of politeness theory. It is a battery of social skills whose goal is to ensure everyone feels informed in a social interaction. And more importantly, they also distinguish between the positive and the negative politeness in their book here. Okay, my team member will talk about politeness and negative politeness later.
All adult members of a society have face, and the face is divided into 2 types by Brown and Levinson, as positive face and negative face. Face-threatening acts will damage the hearer's face by acting in opposition to their desires. So we need the politeness strategies to formulate messages to save the hearer's face. Today we will talk about politeness, and Lakoff has described the politeness as the people's appropriate behavior in specific situations to achieve and maintain successful social relationships. And Brown and Levinson believe that face and the preservation of face are the motivation for politeness, and they have proposed several politeness strategies to minimize the face-threatening acts. And Lakoff also summarized the politeness principle as don't impose, give options, and make the receiver feel good. Brown and Levinson also divide the politeness into 2 kinds, as positive politeness and negative politeness. Positive politeness means that people want to establish a positive relationship with others and they respect others' need. Negative politeness means that people will make a request, make their request less offensive, and they respect people's right to act freely. Some cultures prefer one of the politeness rather than another one, so politeness is culturally bound. These are some of the politeness strategies. The first one of politeness, positive politeness, is exaggerate. Second, be optimistic. Third, intensify interest to hear. The last one, make jokes. And the negative politeness strategies include using plural pronouns and be pessimistic and normalize the expressions and state the face-threatening acts as a general rule. I will give an example like exaggerate. For example, you are a fantastic cook because the lunch was great. That's all.
Okay, so positive politeness can be usually applied in many intercultural cases, sometimes even without being noticed. Here's an example which is taken from an international party held by a multinational corporation to celebrate its anniversary. Provided with this opportunity, not only the staff in the company, but also some potential customers take an active part in it, in the hope for some more business cooperations in the future. The context on this slide involves three people: Ray is from China, Juliet from France, and Matt comes from Britain. In the context, Ray first speaks highly about the beautiful dress Juliet is wearing, and then he congratulates Juliet about her achievement made by the team. I believe Ray does those acts to exaggerate his interest in the hero so as to shorten the distance between Juliet and him. After hearing about Juliet's difficulty for searching new customers, he then offers a chance to introduce Matt to Juliet so as to show his interest and the hero's wants. And in the next conversation, Ray encourages Matt to try to be positive, and then he offers a helping hand to Matt, which is to show his position and try to shorten the distance. Meanwhile, Matt also speaks highly about their previous cooperation so as to state their business friendship. While those verbal acts mentioned above, from the interest exaggeration, offering help, and compliments made by both Ray and Matt, are all desires to be liked and approved of. Well, there are also some non-verbal acts in the context, such as kiss on the cheek and handshake, which have the same function of those verbal acts, that is to show the interest in the hero and try to pay more attention to the needs of the hero, and then to express consideration of others. Well, that is to say the verbal acts and non-verbal acts align with the theory and functions of positive politeness.
As you just mentioned, the negative politeness means less infringing tone when you make a request. It aims to avoid the threat of damaging others' faces. Opposite with the positive one, the main strategy of negative politeness is being indirect. In this case, the true meaning of Shen is asking her boyfriend to buy her a new shirt, but she didn't express what she wants directly, which shows the strategy of negative politeness being indirect. In Chinese culture, asking for something very directly may be seen as impolite, and people are always shy to do this. As John was born in America and has grown up in a relatively direct cultural environment, he may not truly understand what his girlfriend Shen meant. As we can see in the case, the misunderstanding really happened. When Shen asked her roommate Kichiko, the Japanese girl, to have a try of her new dish, though Kichiko wanted to refuse, due to the Japanese habits, she performed very politely and euphemistically. She made an excuse, I'm going to the gym. But however, actually, Shen didn't understand her well and made the second invitation. Kichiko then changed her strategy from the being indirect to to minimize imposition, like I'm sorry too, but no. She put her apology to as the first place and then refused. Through the kitchen episode, we could see that negative politeness could avoid the awkwardness when people make their requests and help people to keep the distance. But at the same time, meanwhile, it also may lead some misunderstanding, which may do harm to people's communication. That's all. Thank you.
Okay, so in these previous two examples, we have clearly known the differences between the positive and negative politeness strategies. And one important thing to emphasize is there is no right or wrong between these two strategies. And positive doesn't mean right and negative doesn't mean wrong. These strategies is to minimize a threatened act, which is inevitable in different situations and conversation. And from this perspective, we can interpret the politeness in an easier way. Positive politeness is to save a hero's positive face, and the negative politeness is to leave the heroes enough space to let them act freely without any imposing. And it seems very easy to use these strategies for people who have the same background as for the intercultural communication. Using these strategies may be very difficult. We can discuss the reasons from these three aspects. First of all, the cultures. We all know we have different cultures in different countries, and there is a concept of iceberg of culture. What does that mean? It means there is a sea level. Above the sea level, everything is superficial. Every country has their own cultural product, food and clothes, or architecture, etc. For example, like UK has the Big Bang and China has the Great Wall, which show the differences between the two cultures. And beneath the sea level, everything is invisible and implicit, which like the cultural norms and the values, which may build a barrier between the speakers who are from different countries. And culture is like a big society. As for a smaller society, community, in the communities, there are many social norms to regulate the people's behaviors. There are some examples about international and local companies. The workers who work in the international companies, they may perform differently from the people who from the local company. And for more specifically, as for individuals, everyone has their own self-identity, behavior, personality, and their own experience. And as for the international students, they may study or work abroad before, so they are more skillful to use these politeness strategies because they have experience about working and communicating with the foreigners. Okay, so the reasons why I show you the difficulties of using these strategies not to push you to be social in any situation. We just recommend you to be aware of and learn these three concepts during you communicate with others. And what else there is, please use carefully one or both of the politeness strategies which is benefit both hearers and yourself. And another recommendation is to acquire much knowledge before your communication if you want to achieve a higher outcomes. It's a very useful way that I can use in my daily lives. And finally, this is our references we used in this presentation, and thanks for watching.